Hello, Infinite Soul Tribe. Let's get into something I've been hearing and reading everywhere lately. This word, authenticity. It's buzzing through the spiritual airwaves like it's the final badge of awakening. But I've got a message to share, codes from the higher dimensions, sharing the decoded process through lived experience, for every soul who's been told that being real is enough. So settle in, because this isn't just a conversation. This is a frequency shift. Have you ever noticed how authenticity has become the new spiritual obsession? Like the golden ticket to divine enlightenment. It's the word of the hour, plastered across posts, spoken in ceremonies, chanted in healing circles like a mantra that's supposed to mean we've arrived. We're told to be raw, be real, speak your truth. And somewhere along the way, this word, this sacred concept of authenticity, got hijacked. It became the ultimate stamp of spiritual validation, a spiritual currency, a designer spiritual robe that we wear to show we're enlightened, even when the threads are still woven in pain. But let's really stop and ask, what does authenticity even mean? You've heard it. People say, I'm just being authentic, like it's a divine declaration. But what does that even mean? Authentic what? Authentic narcissist? Authentic toxic energy? Authentic liar? Does it mean being authentic in your joy? Authentic in your wholeness? Or are we now glorifying authentic dysfunction and stamping it with the seal of spiritual approval? Because I've seen it. I've felt it. I'm just being authentic has become the new spiritual get out of accountability free card. It's used to justify every unhealed wound, every crossed boundary, every reactive outburst dressed up as sacred self-expression. We're spiritualizing dysfunction and calling it ascension. But ascension without integration, that's just another bypass of true pain, another illusion, another performance. And here's the real danger, and this is where it gets real. Authenticity has become a clever form of spiritual bypassing, especially when it keeps us from walking with the shadow keepers. Because truth be told, a lot of people still fear the unknown within themselves. They fear their own darkness, their karmic imprints, the ancient echoes that haven't yet been cleared. So they cling to this idea of being authentic as a kind of spiritual endpoint. But it's not the end. It's just the hallway. And most stop walking before they reach the real flame. Why? Because to walk with your shadow keepers means surrendering the mask. It means being stripped bare, not just in front of others, but in front of your own soul. And that's when the dark parasites show up. The ones that feed on unhealed wounds, old karmic scripts, and the fear of becoming your full light. They whisper seductive things. They say, this is who you are. Don't change. Stay here. Speak your pain. Live in it. Be proud of it. And if you're not careful, you'll start confusing the voice of your trauma for the voice of your truth. You'll start believing that the fire inside you is meant to consume instead of illuminate. You'll start shrinking the flame you were born to be, thinking it's safer that way, thinking it's more real to suffer out loud than to transform in silence. But here's what authenticity rooted in love does. It purifies. It doesn't burn the village. It doesn't torch every connection that challenges you. It lets your flame rise without burning the forest down. See, they don't need to possess your soul. They just need to distort the translator, your ego. They get you to latch onto half-truths, to mistake catharsis for clarity, to call a breakdown a breakthrough because it felt intense. And if they can convince you that authenticity is the destination and not the doorway, then they've already won. It created chaos to hide you from your soul. They'll even science wash it for you. They'll make it look like a research-backed healing method. Studies show expressing your anger is healthy. Being radically honest improves relationships. And suddenly, we got a new gospel. Authenticity is the new enlightenment. Forget love. Forget unity. Forget kindness. If you're authentic, you made it. And the spiritual world starts echoing the message. Make authenticity the standard. Build workshops around it. Create healing models around it. Label it as the new divine intelligence. Meanwhile, you're still bleeding from your inner wounds and calling it ascension. You're still bypassing the one thing that could actually shift your frequency. Love. Because love doesn't just want to hear your story. Love wants to heal your story. Love doesn't clap for your unfiltered pain. Love holds space for its transformation. And that's where authenticity without love collapses. Love is the highest frequency, And let me be clear, there's nothing wrong with being authentic. In its true form, it's powerful. It's necessary. But what happens when authenticity becomes a bypass? When it's used not to go deeper, but to defend the surface? What happens when someone says, "I'm just being authentic," as an excuse to avoid accountability, to resist growth, or worse, to cause harm? Authenticity being weaponized, used as a free pass to stay unhealed. Like if I admit I'm wounded and speak from that place, I'm somehow noble for doing it. But let's be honest with ourselves. Just because it's true in the moment doesn't mean it's sacred. Just because you're speaking from your gut doesn't mean it's your soul. Authenticity without love is just ego, cloaked in righteousness. And ego loves to dress up. It knows how to mimic wisdom. It knows how to perform vulnerability. But when love is missing, all you're doing is broadcasting your wounds louder and calling it truth. There's something deeper going on here, something most people don't want to face. The reason authenticity has become such a trend is because it gives people a way to feel spiritual without doing the deep inner work. It's easier to say, "This is just who I am," than actually ask, "Why am I this way?" It's easier to plant your flag in your pain than to sit with the silence of your shadow and ask it to teach you. That's the difference. That's the soul's maturity. Because anyone can be raw. Anyone can be loud. Anyone can stand in front of a mic, real or metaphorical, and pour their unfiltered pain onto others. But it takes spiritual strength to be refined. To say, "Yes, this is what I've lived, but this is not where I stop." To alchemize your experience into something others can grow from, not just survive around. We need to talk about what it really means to be aligned. Alignment is not shouting your story at full volume and calling it liberation. It's knowing when your story has become your prison. It's recognizing when your truth has calcified into identity. It's the soul check that asks, "Is this still serving me? Or am I using it to protect myself from something deeper?" Because being authentic doesn't mean staying broken. It means being honest about the break, and then choosing to rise. Not because you're done hurting, but because you're done letting the hurt define you. Love doesn't ask you to lie. Love asks you to evolve. It says, "Yes, be real, but be responsible with what you reveal. Speak your truth, but let it be laced with grace. Stand in your fire, but know what you're burning and why." And love doesn't mean you'll always get it right. But love means you're willing to look again. Love means you're open to correction. Love means your authenticity becomes relational, not just performative. There's something powerful about realizing that your truth isn't just about you. It's about how your frequency touches the world around you. Because we're all walking transmitters. And what we call authentic can either become healing resonance or spiritual static. To hold the light in a way that brings others home. To speak the truth in a way that frees, not wounds. To rise in our fire without becoming the wildfire. Authenticity is a sacred path, but only when it's held in love. Without that, it's just another performance. Just another egoic flex. Just another robe stitched with good intentions, but worn to hide. So no, I don't care if someone says, "Well, I'm just an authentic narcissist." That's not a spiritual mic drop. That's an invitation to look deeper. Because the real you, the eternal flame of you, is not the ego protecting itself. It's the soul that's willing to strip down every label and still stand in love. So if you're someone who's walking this road, and I know you are, then know this. Your authenticity is not your final form. It's the beginning of your return. Let it take you inward. Let call the shadow keepers to your side. Let it burn through the illusions until only love remains. Because love doesn't erase your truth. It refines it into something sacred. It doesn't mute your fire. It teaches you how to hold it. Not as a weapon, but as a beacon. You are not here to be an authentic echo of your wounds. You are here to be the authentic living frequency of your soul. And that is a vibration no dark parasite can mimic, touch, or corrupt. Thank you for watching. These codes are from the divine to help the divine soldiers walk their path and rise. If this video resonated, please share it, subscribe to the channel, and help us reach more of our infinite soul tribe. Until next time, wishing you strength, peace, and divine light.